Hi everyone, I'm going to show you in this video how to create a 360-degree painting or piece of artwork using Photoshop. So let's just jump right in. Let's go ahead and start a new file. So go to File, New. It's going to ask you for a new document. So basically this file that we're going to create has to be twice as long as it is tall. So we're going to go ahead and put in 1,000 pixels wide. You want to make sure this is pixels. And 500 pixels tall. If you're using this at the school, you can go ahead and bump that up to 2,000 pixels wide and 1,000 pixels tall. My computer is just a little slow at the moment, so we're going to go with a slightly smaller file size for my computer. So anyway, 1,000 wide, 500 tall, and then create. Also, you want to make sure that's 72 DPI, 72 resolution pixels per inch. Okay, so here we have our file. As we're working on this file, we're basically going to only have one layer to start off with. And so if you imagine the kind of Mercator projection for the world that we were using last week to demonstrate it, this is basically the world all stretched out. And then this will be rolled up into the sphere. So to start off, let's go ahead and make our sphere a color. So go ahead and pick a color, any color you'd like. Start off with a nice blue, and then I'm just going to go to the fill tool and the little bucket and fill it. And then we're going to draw a horizon line. So go to your brush and pick out a different color. So I'm going to choose, let's see, green as my horizon. And then right about here, right in the middle, just go ahead and draw a line all the way across. And this is really just for reference. So that when you're spinning your sphere around, you can kind of see what's happening. Remember before how we talked about how this is basically going to wrap up, which means that these two ends are going to have to be kind of seamless unless you want a seam in your sphere. So I'm going to show you a quick trick on how to deal with that. So you're going to go into the Filters tab up here, and then come down to Other, and then what's called Offset. And this is basically just going to offset your work a little bit. And so it starts off as 0, 0, but we just basically want to offset this by a little bit. So we'll scooch this over, and you can start to see the seam right here. And then I'm going to click OK, and then I'm just going to kind of smooth that seam over. So basically now it's going to be seamless. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and create our panoramic sphere. Basically, we need to tell Photoshop what we're going to be doing, which is that we're going to be painting this kind of crazy sphere. Actually, before we do that, let's just paint in a couple more reference points. So I'm going to create a yellow strip on the very top, just so we can see what the top is. And then I'm going to create a white strip all the way down at the bottom, just so that we can see where the bottom is when we get to the sphere. Okay, so now I have 3 stripes, all on one layer, top stripe, a middle stripe, that's the horizon, and a bottom stripe. So now let's create this 3D spherical panorama. So you want to go up into the 3D tab up here, and then come down to Spherical Panorama. And then you want to select New Panorama Layer from Selected Layers. You want to go ahead and click that, and it'll take it a second. It'll ask you if you want to switch into the 3D workspace. Go ahead and click Yes. Okay, so now we're in the 3D workspace. A few things have changed. Basically, our toolbars have gotten a little bit lower. Some of our windows have changed, so you might see some differences. The main difference here is that our giant rectangular image has been kind of transmuted into this small window, and we can actually scroll around now. If you select the top tool here, which is the Move tool, or hit V, you see you get this new little icon, and if you click and drag, you can start moving around your horizon like this. You can also come down to see, basically this was our white stripe. You can see here our green stripe, which was the horizon, and then if we scroll up, we can see the yellow stripe that we created there. So now we've got kind of a sense of orientation of where this is. Basically, we're just scrolling around the sphere that we just created. There's not a lot of landmarks yet, though. So let's go ahead and start adding some art in. So what we can do to start with is you can actually just paint directly on this if you want to just start painting. So I'm going to select a new color. Let's see, I'll choose a little pink here. And then basically if you go to your brush, you can actually just start drawing right on this. I'm going to put some dots in. And so it's basically painting these dots directly to the sphere. If you go back to the move tool, you can see that those dots are now kind of attached to the sphere, and we can scroll around to see the area without the dots and the area with the dots. I'm going to scroll around to here and choose another color. And let's see, here's yellow. And I'm going to go back to the brush, and I'm going to draw a couple more small things here. So just some shapes. There we go. And then if you go back to the spherical tool, or I'm sorry, back to the move tool, you can move around and see now we have several decorations on our horizon, kind of landmarks, if you will. So if you're painting like this, if you run into any trouble, basically you can go into the let's see here. You want to go into the brush tool, so Windows brushes. Oh, I'm sorry. Windows 3D and aha, okay. Sorry about that. So if you go up into the properties window, so window properties, you'll see over here, if you select your paintbrush, that it will be set to 3D paint. And so for the paint system, you want it to be set to projection, not texture. So make sure that's set to projection, and then you can go ahead and just draw whatever you'd like on here. So you'll notice that there's a small lag as you go around. It's a little bit slow. So this might be a little bit difficult to draw with. So if you'd like to go a little bit faster and paint kind of without that lagginess, I'm going to aim up a little bit, and then what you can do is actually create a new layer down here. Now this layer is not actually attached to the panorama, so I'm going to draw a little sun here, and you'll see this is actually going to act like a normal layer. As we scroll around the panorama, if you select the background again, if you scroll around, that sun is going to stay where it is because it's not actually attached to the sphere quite yet. So we want to go ahead and attach that to the sphere, so we're going to do that by merging down. So select the layer you just created, and then right-click it, and go down to Merge Down. You can also click it and then select Command-E for Merge Down. And then once you're down there and you start scrolling around again, you see that the sphere has been attached to, or the image has been attached to the sphere. So this is kind of like adding a sticker to the balloon. Basically, you're just sticking it right on there, and then it stays put as you go around. So in this kind of same vein, if you had some other art that you wanted to add in, so I have some examples here from our kind of image library here. So I'm going to grab this lobster, and I'm going to pop them in as a new layer, as we can see down here. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And we're just going to put a few lobsters here. So I'm going to add one lobster here, and then I'm going to merge down so that that lobster stays right there. I'm going to switch to the move tool and kind of swap around to a different part of the sphere, and then I'm going to put the lobster in again. There we are. Let's make it a little bit smaller. So I'm using free transform, which is Command-T to move them around, or to change the size a little bit and move them around. For this one, I'm also going to do Command-U. We're going to make a blue lobster. So I'm going to go into reds and change him so that he is a cool blue rare lobster. There we go. And then finally, because if I go down here, he's still not stuck to the sphere, as you can see. So we're going to merge this layer down so that he sticks to the sphere. And now there we have it. We have our lobster, we have some decorations, we have our red lobster. So basically using this method, you can kind of tile in images all around the sphere as you'd like. So let's see, if you want to kind of switch back to the 3D mode, basically you can create most of the image this way, but if you don't want to switch back, come over here to your layers window. If you don't have it, go up to window and then down to layers to bring that up. And you're going to see a couple things under your background. It's going to say textures, diffuse, and spherical map. So go ahead and double click on spherical map, and that's going to bring up this rectangular image that we kind of started with here. You can see our 3 original stripes. You can see the decorations that I put in, including the lobster and the sun. You can see also some things are a little bit distorted around the edges. Some of these little rays around the sun are distorted. The lobster's getting some distortion. And then also our one lobster is cut in half. But again, if we offset that, we can see that that's actually should be seamless. And there we go, that is seamless. So if you want to make any other big changes, if you want to do anything like fills that might be a little bit more CPU intensive, computer intensive, it might be a good idea to do them in this window. So let's say I wanted to change this background to pink. I can come in here and let's see, I can't quite use the brush because we're in this 3D mode. But I can come in here and change this area to pink. Let's see, maybe I can use this lasso here to select all these blue areas. There we go. And then the brush to make that look quite big, and then just fill in the rest of that. And then basically any changes that you make to this file are going to be reflected in your spherical file. So if we click back here, you can actually see that the upper layer of this, if I change back to the move tool, the upper layer of our sphere has actually gone pink, just as we've colored it in the in this splatter file here. We can also do things like add text if you'd like. So I'm just going to add in a quick hello. Using the text tool, I'll make that quite a bit bigger here. And let's see, if I come back to my sphere, you can see hello right there. So this is basically how you can construct your whole piece of artwork. Go ahead and save if you haven't saved already. This just saves as a regular Photoshop file. So I'm going to save this as sample tutorial file. There we go. And then click OK. So you can kind of use that to create the whole thing. You can close this without saving, and it will go ahead and save still in this main file. And then finally, once you're all finished and you want to export the file to Facebook or any other 3D kind of viewer, you're going to come back up here to 3D, and then back down to spherical panorama, and then you're going to go down to export panorama. So I'm clicking on that, and I'm going to call this sample tutorial export, and then I'm going to save it. Also, I saved it as a JPEG. Let me just go back to point that out here. So yeah, let's see, sample to, and you want to save the format as a JPEG, and then go ahead and save, and then the file has been saved, so you can save your PSD file one last time and close that out. Close out whichever other artwork that you've been using. And at that point, you're pretty much done the creation of the file. But let's quickly go through and upload it to Facebook. Basically, if you want to put it onto a VR headset for the Oculus Go, just go ahead and email me that JPEG. But if you'd like to upload it to Facebook also, let's go ahead and do that. Pardon my personal Facebook page. Let's see, so what's on my mind? So you want to go ahead and click on this upload photo or video button. And then we're going to go ahead into wherever we saved our photo. And here's our sample image, our lobsters and our hello. So we're going to click on open. And because we exported it as that spherical panorama, you can see Facebook is recognizing that it's a 360-degree image. So I'm going to set this to only me, just because I'm goofing around. So here is my 360-degree painting, and then post. There we go. And then once we get down here, you can actually use Facebook's little viewer to scroll around quite quickly. You can see our lobsters, our hello, our shapes, everything you need for a 360-degree painting. All right, so that's the tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. And good luck. Bye-bye.